It all started when my wife, Sarah, and I moved into our new home. It was an old, two-story house on the edge of town, surrounded by dense woods and a silence that felt almost unnatural. The house had been on the market for years, and we got it for a steal. The realtor mentioned something about the previous owners leaving in a hurry, but we didn't think much of it at the time. We were just happy to finally have a place to call our own. The first few weeks were uneventful. We unpacked, settled in, and started making the house feel like home. But then, things began to change. It started with small, almost imperceptible things, like the sound of footsteps in the hallway when no one was there, or the faint creak of floorboards above us, even though the attic was empty. At first, we brushed it off. Old houses make noises, right? That's what we told ourselves. But then, one night, I woke up to the sound of someone whispering my name. It was soft, almost like a breeze, but it was unmistakable. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding, and looked around the room. Sarah was sound asleep beside me, and the house was silent. I told myself it was just a dream and tried to go back to sleep. But the next morning, Sarah asked me if I had been in the attic last night. I told her no, and she went pale. She said she had heard footsteps coming from above our bedroom, slow and deliberate, like someone was pacing back and forth. We decided to investigate. The attic was accessible through a small door in the ceiling of the hallway, and we had to use a ladder to reach it. When we opened the door, a wave of cold air hit us, even though it was the middle of summer. The attic was dark and dusty, filled with old boxes and furniture left behind by the previous owners. But what caught our attention was the corner of the room. There was a small, makeshift bed, just a pile of blankets and a pillow, and next to it, a stack of empty food cans and water bottles. Sarah gasped, and I felt a chill run down my spine. Someone had been living up here. But who? And for how long? We searched the rest of the attic, but found nothing else out of the ordinary. Still, the feeling of being watched lingered, even after we closed the door and went back downstairs. That night, the noises returned. This time, they were louder. Thuds and scrapes like someone was moving furniture around. I grabbed a flashlight and went to investigate, Sarah trailing behind me. When we opened the attic door, the ladder was gone. It had been pulled up into the attic, and no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't reach it. We called the police, but they couldn't do much without evidence. They suggested we install security cameras, but we didn't have the money for that. So we tried to ignore it, hoping it would go away. But it didn't. A few days later, I came home from work to find Sarah sitting on the couch, her face pale and her hands trembling. She told me she had heard someone singing in the attic, a soft, haunting melody that sent shivers down her spine. She had tried to record it on her phone, but the audio was just static. That's when we decided to take matters into our own hands. We borrowed a ladder from a neighbor and went back up to the attic. This time, we found something that made our blood run cold. Scratched into the wooden beams above the bed were words, "I'm still here." And below that, a date, just a few days ago. Whoever had been living in our attic was still here, watching us, waiting. We called the police again, and this time they took us seriously. They searched the attic and the rest of the house but found no one. They told us to change the locks and install security cameras, but we knew that wouldn't be enough. That night, we slept with the lights on, clutching each other as the noises continued above us. The next morning, we found a note on the kitchen counter. It was written in messy, scrawled handwriting. "You shouldn't have come here." We packed our bags and left that same day, staying in a hotel until we could figure out what to do next. We never went back to that house, and to this day I don't know who or what was living in our attic. But I do know this: some houses are better left empty.